Hey, welcome to Divi Nation Live. Divi Nation is a podcast and video show by Elegant Themes, the creators of Divi, the ultimate WordPress theme and visual page builder. Now, the goal of Divi Nation is really simple. We want to provide you with the knowledge, insights, and supportive community that you need to be successful with WordPress and Divi. I'm your host, Nathan B. Weller, and as your host, it's my job to facilitate that success by having various guests from the Divi and wider WordPress community onto the show to share their stories and experiences with you. Now, this week, I'm interviewing Jessica Eller, the co-founder and front-end designer of This Is Dime, a Los Angeles-based creative design agency that uses Divi for themselves and for their clients. Now, because of scheduling, we recorded this interview beforehand. So I will jump to that here in just a moment, but I want to encourage everybody to check out the video description for all the details, including announcements, which I'll cover at the end, but just in case you want to jump ahead. And please, by all means, jump in the comments and welcome our guest, Jessica Eller, to the show. Jessica, welcome to Divi Nation.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So where are you located right now?
So we're located in Los Angeles, California, kind of right in that Silicon Beach area, actually. So
that's what I was going to ask is where, because people say Los Angeles, that can mean a lot of different things. So
it's true. It's pretty big. Yeah. On the west side, so relatively close to where all the other tech companies have been popping up lately. Mm-hmm. Not too far from the beach. It's nice.
Nice. And so your company is called This Is Dime. What's with that name?
So yeah, we were kind of trying to come up with something that epitomized who we are and also stood out. And one day, I don't know how we came up with the name Dime, and then I realized, well, it could stand for design, ideation, marketing, and execution, which nice. I think are some really important points that really every company needs to get right, and a lot of what we can help companies with. We're a design team. We can help with marketing materials, ideation if they need it. So we just thought This Is Dime and went ahead and bought the URL really quickly and went from there.
That's cool. So it's you, and I noticed on your website you have a co-partner or a co-founder. What's her name?
Elizabeth.
Oh, very cool. Well, you'll have to tell her hi from me. But okay. I read you guys. You sent me, just so everybody that watching knows, Jessica sent me this really cool email. She just kind of introduced herself. She said she's kind of new to the Divi community. They just launched their company, and they wrote a blog post about just kind of their story and choosing Divi and why they're going that route. And I thought, let's just, have a chat and do this live. Actually, this is going to be pre-recorded part of the live stream, but later this is actually going to be part of a live stream. So what I would love to talk about is sort of your backstory and kind of take people. So we know that right now you're, in Los Angeles, you have a new design agency, you're kind of ramping things up. But tell us how you got there. When did you first kind of get into design? And then maybe when did WordPress come into the picture, and then kind of end it with Divi and your decision to run with it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I personally do more of the development work, and I started learning about building websites and code and things like that maybe 6 years ago. I saw something about getting more women into code, and I thought that sounds like something I would enjoy. I should really, learn. So I explored various resources on the internet and started just building basic HTML and CSS pages on my local computer, just to see, just to play with them, learned some JavaScript. I actually even learned some back-end programming for a bit. I really like Java. Wow. Yeah, and I don't really know how that might tie into our business here, but, it's good to have that experience. And I enjoyed that. And then, I met Elizabeth, and she's more of the designer. She's a photographer by hobby. She does some graphic design, and she had built some websites for people she knew on some drag and drop builders and things like Squarespace. And I really didn't have, I had some experience with some platforms, but really more just basic, straight writing my own templates and things.
Sure.
So we decided to kind of just bring our skill sets together. I felt like if we were going to, over the course of time, we decided to start this company. And I thought, well, if we're going to portray ourselves as web design, web development agency, we have to use a good platform. And I'm partial to WordPress. I had worked on some WordPress sites for friends in the past, but I never loved having to use some of the templates because everything can be a bit restricting.
Yeah.
And I also knew that sort of interface wouldn't quite work with her style of preferring things like Squarespace or Verb. Mm-hmm. So I was searching around for the best visual builder for WordPress. And there are a few options, but I didn't really love any of them from the different demos and things that I tried. And then I sampled the Divi demo page.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good to know that's getting some use.
Am I the only one?
No, I'm just teasing. It gets used a lot, okay. But I rarely get to talk to somebody who's like, oh, I used the demo and then bought, so that's cool.
Oh yeah. I like when a company gives you that sort of opportunity, and the Divi demo was probably the best setup demo that I've tried of various
that's awesome.
Things. Yeah. It's really great. You guys are doing a great job, honestly. And I thought, this is perfect. I have to show this to her. She's going to love all the ways that you can, use things within the visual builder. Mm-hmm. And I like that you can still go in there and write your own CSS for elements. And mm-hmm. of course, like in a WordPress site, write your own style sheet and, change your PHP files if you have to. So there's still like enough flexibility for me with the visual element for her. And it was just perfect. And then you guys have been doing those updates lately. Like we were doing our own text shadows, and now you can just use it as a visual builder. I'm like, I don't have to write all these point one and
Isn't that great? I love that.
Yeah. So it's been a really great experience, and we're just loving the product. So that's kind of how it brought us to Divi.
That is awesome to hear. And I'm really, I'll have to share your story with my wife because she's been thinking about making a career change as well and she's a fashion designer. And so she's thinking about getting out of the fashion industry and jumping into something more technical. And so I'm curious, maybe you can shed some more light quickly on like, what are some of the resources you use to help yourself make that transition? You mentioned you jumped into experimenting with code, but kind of maybe what was that actually like? What were some of those specifics?
Sure. Yeah. Sorry. I probably did rush the story a bit. But yeah, I mean, there's W3 schools, there's Code Academy. There are a few different resources where you can either watch videos or just read and teach yourself that way. And then actually there's a company called Team Treehouse.
I'm familiar.
Yeah. And I started, I got a membership again, years back, and just started watching some of their videos and playing in the code editor and learning in a hands-on way that way. With regard to back-end languages, I actually just took a couple of community college courses in Java just to see what that was like, but I prefer front-end development just because there is more of that design aspect to it.
Yeah. You said you're partial to WordPress now, but when you were just learning, was WordPress helpful, or was it something that you were like, you adopted later because that's what like clients wanted? Like, because I know a lot of people who really catch the development bug, they like doing things static, or they like doing things just on their own.
Yeah, early on so what happened was I kind of skipped this part of the story. After I learned a bit about front-end development, I worked at an agency for a while, project managing and selling web design as well as online marketing. And so that gave me some experience with a few different platforms, which I found confusing at first just because I was used to, again, just straight up writing my own HTML. And I hadn't really launched any of my own sites, but I was a little confused by the restrictions of all of the different platforms. I found WordPress to be the most appealing option of what we worked with. And, I know it's very popular. I knew at the time there were so many plugins that I could kind of bend the functionality to whatever I needed, or if the case ever arose, potentially try to write my own solution to something. So that's kind of why that became our best bet. And, to include the designer in the actual building process as well, it's helpful to have something like WordPress as opposed to try to, just write our own static files.
Yeah, for sure. So how'd you meet your co-founder? You mentioned that you guys met while you were in this process of learning, and it was maybe part of like a women in code thing, or was that separate?
It was actually, it wasn't like that at all. We just had mutual friends, and just kind of became friends as well. And then we talked about our common interests, and I thought it was interesting that she built websites. And again, I had just started developing familiarity with platforms. So, we started looking at the tools she was using, which were really like Verb and GoDaddy Builder. And I was like, these are terrible. Squarespace is okay, but those two are terrible. And then, we just kind of started talking about ways we could collaborate, and kind of share our skill sets. And we actually have a friend of mine in New York who does interior architecture and some branding, and we're going to potentially collaborate with her as well. Yeah, and do some, websites for clients of hers. So there's a lot of opportunity, I guess, the lesson in that, and like networking and just becoming friends with people.
Well, that's the thing is, like, our community is super active. I think you mentioned this in the emails about how, there's just so many people in our Facebook groups and who engage with the blog. And it's always cool to find people who, through those types of channels, because they share the same interests. And I like to ask people how they met their co-founders or the people who they work with, because oftentimes they happen in these community situations where it's the common interest of the craft itself that connects you, and then you become friends, or you have a good working relationship, and things evolve from there. But a lot of people who are going to be watching and listening into this, they're probably like yourself, before you found, a partner, and they're either freelancing or they have a job and they're kind of tinkering with the idea of branching out on their own. So I love to hear the details of how people decided to make that transition. And maybe you could speak to that a little bit now. If, you said you were at a job, you were learning about platforms, you're working for somebody else. What was that transition from working for somebody else to, I think we could do this on our own. We should team up and go start a company. What was that like?
Yeah. So we, we had a mutual friend and realized that our skill sets were very compatible in the sense that they're almost opposing, where she just has like visual, she can imagine things, whereas I can write things, but CSS was always, as much as I like it, I couldn't really construct it in my mind before I write it, so it's not as, it's not as creative. My process is not as visually creative, I guess. And so because of that, we did decide that we wanted to work together. And I just, working for someone else.
That kind of says it, right?
It was fine. It just, the role wasn't really what I wanted, because it was sales and project management, which I think a lot of the time it ends up being, as opposed to being able to do the hands-on development work in maybe an agency situation like that. And so the opportunity just wasn't there for me to grow the skills that I wanted to grow and actually participate in the projects the way that I wanted to. So, it just wasn't kind of fulfilling, and it wasn't going to really take me down the path I was looking to go down. And I don't think that either of us really would want to work for someone else again, just because it is really nice to be able to do your own marketing and your own, just kind of everything, just have your hands kind of in everything.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, I think one of the biggest reasons people don't make that choice is because they have this sort of sunk cost mentality of, I'm so far down the road in this career path or in this job choice. If I do my own thing now, I'll have to start from scratch. But I'm sure that your experience with sales and project management have drastically improved the way that you run your own business.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just having the experience of dealing with a variety of clients and understanding the process and the various types of clients, how some clients don't have content ready, how some clients don't want to maybe commit to a project, or, the different types, the different sizes of businesses and how decisions get made there, and what might be most appropriate for them. It was really helpful because it was a bigger agency. I did get to kind of oversee a lot of different types of projects and a lot of e-commerce projects, which can get very complicated. So it was very beneficial.
Nice.
But again, ultimately just being more part of the creative process as opposed to just the sales process is a little more fulfilling. So.
Absolutely. So I want to circle back to, as we go forward, I want to circle back to something you mentioned when we did sort of the fast version of your story. So you found Divi as the most appealing visual builder for WordPress out there, and you decided to go with it for your own website. Tell us the story of building your guys' own website and some of the lessons you learned while you did that.
Yeah, we had never used Divi before. And we weren't even really sure where we wanted to start with our own website in terms of what we wanted it to look like and how we were going to portray everything that we were capable of doing as a company. We didn't want to do just your typical standard like agency site, kind of go with that template. We really wanted to be like bold and colorful and creative and just have fun with it.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. And so initially, I don't know, we went through probably 4 different iterations of completely different websites before we ended with the one we have now. And we'll probably
keep doing that.
Yeah. Just to really put our best foot forward there. But what we liked about Divi was it wasn't as challenging as it otherwise could have been to change the look and feel while keeping the content relatively the same.
Could see that.
And as our process went on, Divi kept adding more features, which was nice because we were trying to import our own fonts, and now there's the 800 or 900 Google fonts and just different things where the tool seemed to evolve with us. But gosh,
if I can jog your memory, in your blog post, you had a few bullet points, said, some of the things that were really powerful was, you kind of got a handle on the Divi library and how powerful that could be.
Yes. Thank you. That's what I was going to say, and then kind of lost track of thought for a second. No, that is my favorite part of it. And I've noticed in other blog posts where similar people maybe once they get the hang of the tool as well have the same experience. It's really great. You can save either like a global module where, let's say our footer, where you just want to change it once and it changes on every page it exists on, or save just a regular module and then change the styling, maybe change the color, what the content is, or what the background picture is, so that things remain consistent across multiple pages. It saved us a ton of time in terms of, optimizing for different devices, just because you could optimize the module once and then use it elsewhere. So the Divi library is maybe my favorite thing. It was actually most useful on our first client project because that one was just a whole lot of text. And so to set that up and then just reuse the same page template more or less over and over was a huge time saver for us.
Yeah. And that's actually a good point. Using the responsive design controls within Divi before you save to the library is huge, because even if you're just using it, if you're not using it as a global item, you're just using it somewhere else in your site as a starting point for something else, it's already optimized. So it's like, if you're just changing the content and moving a few things around, if the things that you optimize for mobile are things like text sizes, for instance, it doesn't matter where you move that text, it's still going to work, across those things. So having those things saved beforehand that's a good little pro tip that people might not think of.
Yeah, that was the biggest, we set up with our 3 different device sizes here and made sure it looked good on everything, and then it would save and then go ahead with the next.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was huge.
Yeah, that's such a good idea. So what were maybe I can pull up your your article here real quick and we can grab some of those other, that's a client project that you sent me. Okay, yeah. So I'm on your blog post now, and so you don't have the Divi library. Oh, so you mentioned that you found that the resource of the Divi community was really big. Was that a draw for you?
Yeah, it was, initially we did have some questions in terms of maybe specifics of how Divi would work. And the Elegant Themes blog is really great because there are videos, but you can also, read if you don't want to watch the videos and just kind of learn some quick tips and tricks, little problem solving things. And then there are some other, bigger players in the Divi community some of whom you guys have featured, and we would reference their blogs as well every now and then for, a quick little CSS copy and paste if we needed to solve a problem or something like the Divi builder was freezing for a while, and then I found what I needed to edit the htaccess file with just to, you know what I'm talking about?
I've seen other people have that issue. Yeah. So it's like, that's, so if it's not something covered in the forum with a specific ticket, one of the great things about the community and how passionate they are is if you need a fix right now, you can usually just post in one of the Facebook groups or just search Google and, chances are someone's like, hey, I had this problem a while back and I solved it this way, which is really cool.
Yeah, it was really helpful to be able to find there's so many resources because so many people are using it. So things like that were quick and easy to solve, and just learning from other people's experiences was really nice and helping us get kind of a running start with it.
Yeah. So, obviously this is great for you and great for your company. We love to hear it, but how is this good for your clients? What are some of the things that because you mentioned in your blog post that, you wanted to focus on using WordPress and Divi as like the foundation for all of your projects.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why should that be a selling point for your clients as well as just a good move for your productivity?
Yeah, no, that's actually a good question that I hadn't really considered. But one thing, that comes to mind immediately is that it gives us way more flexibility than, either taking the time to build our own theme or finding another pre-made theme that's a lot more stock. Because we can literally give a client anything they want. If they want to move this module here, if they want to change the color of whatever the case may be, we can make changes quickly and easily and give them a much more custom site than I think otherwise. I think it's probably a quicker process using Divi as well, just in the sense of being able to use that visual builder, see the changes, save things to the library so we can have a quicker turnaround time. For some clients, they'll be maybe be able to use Divi themselves, or at least we can build them a page template and they can use those if they want to add content, but depends how comfortable they are with things like that. But I would say more than anything, just the flexibility of being able to give them a custom site, set them up with something like that. And there are, again, because of the Divi community, I found things like, we want to do some e-commerce shops, and to be able to customize the pages, the product pages and the shop page, I've found different plugins.
We literally just published a post like an hour ago
really?
One of our staff writers, Jason, he wrote about taking the text module controls and using it to control, and the theme customizer controls, and using it to control how WooCommerce products are displayed.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out.
So like
then.
if you put something most people don't know is if you put a short code in a text module, you can use the text module design options to style that the stuff that's displayed from that short code, which is a real neat little trick. If you don't want to get into a plugin CSS, you can just go to the design options and tinker around.
Okay, great. Because I know there is an option out there, the Woo layout injector. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that allows you to add builder elements within a product.
Right.
So it's a little bit different, but still very, very powerful.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll definitely check that out. I like reading the blog regularly. But yeah, that's what inspired us to contact you. All the customer spotlights that you guys do and reading everybody's story. I think it's a nice opportunity for people, again, to build the community and get familiar with each other. And
absolutely.
So.
Well, I'm glad you did. And I'm glad that you've been able to share your story. So I want to kind of close. We try to do around 30 minutes. We're at about 25 right now. So maybe we can start talking about kind of our closing thought or closing points here. You've now put this into work on a few clients. You have one featured called the Open Minds Educational Services.
Yeah, that was just our first build.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could maybe tell us about some of the takeaways from doing that first like big Divi project with your new company.
Takeaways like.
Yeah, so like things that you came out of it going like, hey, this is either a really good practice or this is something we're not going to want to do again. Anything that you came away from that going like, we're a better company because of that. In and around Divi, if you have anything.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I feel like I did maybe touch on some earlier, but like the Divi Library really became our biggest tool for that project, just because it was, I think, like 21 pages or 22 pages of mostly just content, just text. It was actually a site migration. The client had built her own site on Weebly years ago, and it was a little messy, and we wanted it to be a little more professional. And, we kind of discussed with her how Divi, while it's, not as maybe drag and droppy as Weebly, she might be still comfortable updating her own site if we walked her through it. So, in terms of using the library, in terms of being able to style so many pages and make them responsive in a relatively short amount of time, I don't know. I guess I'm a little at a loss on this question right now, because I feel like we did kind of like go over.
We probably covered most of it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you can. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. We did get more familiar with, again, the community and the resources throughout the project. Like, another example I can think of is I wanted the accordions to all stay closed, and the top one's usually open. So I was like, what's the trick for that?
And
what's the trick for making the pluses look different? Or whatever the case may be, just kind of learning quickly as opposed to struggling for hours to find our own solution to something, was a nice time saver and helping, with our efficiency. So
yeah. Well, one of the things that I love about your story that I kind of circled back to is just that choice to leave, the job you were at to pursue a path that was going to grow you in a way that you were excited about.
Yeah.
If there's somebody listening that wants to do that, can you maybe provide the perspective that allowed you to do that, kind of encapsulate that?
Sure. I would say obviously, to be in a place financially where you're capable to do that, because it's going to take a few months of really just investing in yourselves and your company, and not seeing the dividends or the, flowing as quickly as you would like. Beyond that, just to have a really clear grasp of like everything it's going to take to set you up, working for ourselves. And again, I said, we probably would never want to work for anyone else again, because we like being in control of all these things. You do have to be like an expert in business and like your local laws and your federal laws and your, the things like we're an LLC. So we had to go to the newspaper and get published 4 times.
Weird.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I didn't know you had to get published in a newspaper. If
you establish an LLC, you have to find a local paper and publish an announcement. Oh no, that's actually because we also have a DBA, or doing business ads. But all these little like tips and tricks are, you're your own accountant now, managing your finances, marketing. You have to be on various types of social media. You need to really like write blog posts. You need to think about SEO for your own website. So there are a lot of things you need to start trying to become an expert in, but at the same time, try not to get, I guess, bogged down by that or lose focus on the main goal or the main task, which is, designing and building websites and doing the creative work that you love. I guess I would also say, I've read a lot of people recommend kind of honing in on one particular audience for your business. And I think that's a good idea initially, just so that you can kind of become an expert at something, whether it's just WordPress or Divi in general, or whether it's, we cater to just websites for, I don't know, small businesses or gyms or restaurants or whatever the case may be. Food trucks. Yeah. If food trucks need websites, that would be a fun one. Just to, just to kind of get a real familiarity with something and build your confidence and build experience. It's just, be prepared for things to take a lot longer than you anticipate. And be prepared to learn a lot along the way, but it's very exciting.
Yeah. We hear this story all the time, and but everybody's has just a little bit a difference. And so I love to get everybody's perspective on like, this is why I did it. This is how my experience has gone. Cause it's encouraging. I mean, there's so many people who are trying to do it and they think, okay, I've heard one story, but I'm not like them. I couldn't do it. So, but when you hear like 100 stories and you're like, well, I'm like some of them, and they all faced a different challenge, and I'll probably face my own challenge, or challenges, but just like they got through it, I'll probably get through it too. And that's one of the great things about community is there's that sort of like feeling of people have walked this path before. It's a little bit different for me, but the main points are still, the milestones are still there.
It's true. I would say just don't be afraid of jumping in and participating in the community, because people are generally very welcoming and helpful, and just put yourself out there. Everyone is definitely different, but just to put yourself out there and find your niche and really grow it is the biggest takeaway, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, just like right now, you shot us an email and here you are on the podcast.
And I was very nervous to be on the podcast once I found out it was a video. But
well, I'm glad that you came. And Jessica, I just want to thank you for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. So thanks for watching that interview with Jessica. Looks like my mic was off. Sorry about that, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching that interview with Jessica. I think I figured out, by the way, some people in the comments were talking about how there was a lot of echo, and I think I figured out what that was. So hopefully that is gone now. If you're on the YouTube comments, you can let me know, because I'm kind of monitoring those. Facebook, unfortunately, during the pre-recorded interview section of the live show, the video kind of froze up on there, so I can't really see the comments rolling in, but I see that we have viewers there. I appreciate you all. Thanks so much for tuning in. I thought I would take, Hey, Nicholas, you're not too late. This video will be up later, so you can definitely see this. Oh no, the echo's back. Um, well, I've attempted to fix the settings. I hope it's not too unbearable because I'll have to watch the video after the fact and see what's going on there. Anyway, I want to take some time real quick to go through some announcements we have for the week before we close out the show. Let's see here. Our next meetup, we've got a pretty active meetup calendar for the next year. And so we're trying to ramp things up this year by getting more community-led events. We've had a few so far, but it's a little bit few and far between. We'd really love to get more people on our meetup page. So if you're the type of person that likes to get into community building and community leading on a local level, on a personal level, we would love to have you join our meetup page at meetup.com/Divi Nation. And you can message me there and become a local meetup organizer in your area. We've created a really useful handbook that has all kinds of ideas and tips and resources for you to create and maintain your own local meetup around Divi and WordPress. So we would love to see that happen. And you can definitely get resources for that as soon as you want, because I'll send them to you right away. I'm really excited about getting that going. The next meetup we have on our calendar right now is a Divi Nation meet and greet that we're throwing at WordCamp US. Now, this is going to take place on Friday, December 1st at 7:30 a.m. I know that's bright and early, but the reason for that is because we're actually doing this event in conjunction with WordCamp US, and we want to make sure that people aren't missing the conference to come hang out with us because we want to go too. But it is a great way to meet people before the conference and have some coffee, get some free Divi swag, have breakfast, and really just meet a bunch of Divi people who are really excited to see you and to learn about what you know and what you're doing with Divi. And then that kind of helps facilitate a bunch of hangouts, both planned and unplanned, throughout the whole rest of the weekend. So we're really loving that early morning meet and greet that we've done for the last couple years there, and we hope to continue doing that. The next thing I want to talk about is our Divi Design Initiative. Now, for those of you who don't know, we've started a new initiative where each and every week we're creating high quality images, high quality layout packs, and giving them to you guys for free each and every Monday on the blog. So this next Monday, we're going to have a free layout pack that includes free, high quality, full resolution images that are free to use anywhere you want. That's going to be out Monday, and it's for a coffee shop website. So this is one of my favorite types of websites because it's such a strong niche. Every town has coffee shops wherever they're at. And so if you're a web designer or developer using Divi, you can use this layout pack tomorrow for a client. Or if you know someone who's running a coffee shop, you can send this to them and say, hey, you want to upgrade your coffee shop design? And then just to follow up on that, on Tuesday, we're actually going to have a live stream with Danietta, another staff content creator here at Elegant Themes. She's going to take that coffee shop layout pack, and then she's going to show you how to go from a blank WordPress install to a coffee shop website that accepts online orders, so that you can add some really useful functionality. And it's all going to be done in less than an hour. So that's a super useful live stream. I'm really looking forward to that. Speaking of live streams, just want to quickly run through our schedule for next week, because we've got 4 live streams a week just about. We've kind of had a few technical difficulties lately. We're figuring out kind of our new live streaming setup. You'll see a lot of changes, probably some graphics change here and there. But in general, we're going to have a live stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday of just about every single week. And next week, we've got this lined up. On Monday morning, bright and early, I think around 6 a.m. Eastern time, Augustine Mack, who's out of Birmingham, UK, is going to be doing a live use case of the latest Divi feature release. And so he's going to take the latest features that we've added to Divi, and probably in the previous week, and then he's just going to talk about cool things that you can do with those and kind of show you guys how to do stuff that you might not have thought of yet because maybe you haven't had time to fully jump in and explore it. Then Tuesday, like I said, Danietta is going to do that excellent coffee shop live stream showing you the use case for that layout pack that we're giving away. Thursday, I will be back for another edition of Divi Nation Live. Hopefully next week we'll be able to actually do the interview live as well. But in case we can't get scheduling worked out for that, it is probably going to be semi-regular that we have a pre-recorded interview portion. But every time we do this, I want to make sure I take some time not only to do announcements and talk at you guys, but I don't know if you noticed, I was really active in the comments on YouTube while the recording was going. And I'm going to take some time before we sign off and make sure that I'm in there and just kind of grabbing people's questions and answering them as we go. And then Friday next week, you can close the week out with This Week in WordPress. And that's also coming up tomorrow as well, 3 p.m. Eastern every Friday. BJ Keaton, he's another content contributor here at Elegant Themes, does a WordPress discussion show called This Week in WordPress, where he brings someone in from the WordPress community. And he talks to them about the best news, tutorials, and resources that were published in the blogosphere of the previous 7 days. And they just chat about it, share those resources in the video description. It's really cool, really useful, and you can get a lot of interesting and entertaining insights there. So I'm going to switch over to the comments. I'm seeing a lot of stuff roll in over here on on YouTube. So I just want to make sure that if anybody has anything specifically for me now, I can grab it. Sweet. It looks like the echo went away. That's good. Hey, Jonathan, greetings. No, so we do not have anything planned for us to attend a WordCamp Europe yet. But maybe if you guys make a lot of noise, we can figure that out. We do have a couple people over there, so it could happen. Someone's talking about first year success in the Houston area. I'm not sure what that's about, but if that's you having success, congratulations. Victoria is asking if we're going to have a layout pack for a lifestyle blog. That's definitely possible. I mean, we have a working list that we're just kind of running through. So I'll make sure that gets on the list. In fact, we might do something like that for Extra, since Extra is kind of our blogging centered theme. But maybe Divi as well. If you want something fashion-y lifestyle, which is pretty cool, we did recently release a fashion layout pack that has some cool blog designs, which is kind of lifestyle-y. So Nicholas is asking, will Divi include z-index and position options? I don't know. That's probably a Kenny question, but hopefully so. We actually do a lot of stuff on the design side of things, in our past tutorials where we've used z-index a lot. It's a super handy thing to have. I would love to see that included as well. It's if it's not on the roadmap, I'll try to add it. Thanks, John. Apparently I had him at the word free. Appreciate that. Mark wants to know if there's anybody doing anything in the Atlanta area for Divi Nation meetups. Right now, I don't have anybody in the Atlanta area, but if you want to message me on our Meetup account, just go to meetup.com/Divi Nation, and Divi Nation is all one word, so it's actually spelled Divination. And you can message me, and I'll give you our event organizer handbook. And if it looks like something you want to tackle, feel free to start something in your area and kind of be that person. That'd be great. John's asking, or just saying, he would like to hear about our process of trying out and setting up live stream. It's been a journey. I can quickly just tell you that we've had a couple different things. We've used Ecamm Live, which if you're just going to Facebook is pretty sweet. It's actually it's a Mac only software, and it's really easy to use. We've used Wirecast, and Wirecast allows you to go to multiple networks. The problem we had there was it was just really buggy. What we're using right now is a free open source software called OBS. It's the Open Broadcast Source Project. I don't know exactly what that stands for, except for Open Broadcast. But It's highly customizable. It's got a lot of features in it. It's pretty dependable. It connects to a service called Restream that we use, which allows us to send one stream to their service, and then their service sends it to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And we could add a bunch of other services to it if we want, which is pretty cool. We're really just kind of getting familiar with it. And that's why our live streams the last week or so have been a little irregular because we've had a few hiccups. But thanks for asking. Appreciate that. Yeah, someone mentioned the community in Europe is really growing, and you don't have to tell me because Augustine did a live stream at 6 a.m. Eastern time in the United States, and we had crazy viewership in Europe. It was like way more than we normally get for some of our other live streams. So we know that there's a lot of activity going on over there, and hopefully as we get more people who are in the company over there, we'll be able to engage you guys a little better. But we love it when you come hang out with us on these live streams, even when it's not like your ideal time. Personal blog layout, yeah, that's probably definitely coming. I don't know when though, but I would imagine that's kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, the library manager is in the works. I can't say too much more than that, but there's definitely going to be a big update to the Divi library in the relatively near future, and I think everybody's going to love it. I've seen mock-ups. It looks cool. All right. So the comment stream is kind of slowed down, and I got to get running. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you in our next live stream, which, by the way, is tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. Join BJ Keaton for This Week in WordPress.